David Liu. He's going to kick off the event. He's going to share more about his background and what he does. But with that, we will get started.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to tell you I'm very pleased to be here this morning and very happy to see there's such a strong industry in the community in the Dallas area, that you are all interested in the big data. Certainly, I am not tasked this morning to walk away with every one of you from my talk to massage the tool, because that was not what big people taught me to do. And the second, I would like to also tell you, I'm starting already almost 20 minutes late, where I was told. So that you have to keep me on time, okay? Because I was told I'm supposed to start at 8:30 until I finish by 9:30, so I prepare about 1 hour worth of material, so I have to probably rush a little bit. Just tell you a little bit more about myself, because I think that this morning was busy running around all the logistics, and she was looking at it, you can do it yourself. All right. First of all, I actually worked for AT&T for almost 27 years. Okay, so it's very different than most of industry. I left the school with a master's of computer science degree, and I went to Bell Labs straight. And ever since then, I've only worked for one company. Doesn't matter how the merger acquisition evolved, I still carry the same title of AT&T. It's wonderful. And I know many of you probably venture around a lot of the places. This is the thing of today. That's also great. I still love my company. We have great product and services. And I still love, to this day, my job, and I continue to learn. So this is great to see the industry still have a strong interest. Throughout my career, I'm mainly involved in the software development, software architecture, network management, traffic management. I used to serve on AT&T Intellectual Property Review Board and Architecture Review Board, and etc. And so therefore, I have a strong interest in innovation. My organization today actually generates more patents than AT&T Research Lab per capita. We generate, this year my organization it's already awarded 46 US patents alone. Okay, so I drive my organization really based on a theme of innovation. So therefore, many of you might be very, very interested in how the big data works and the technical stuff. But I would like to kind of this morning bring you back a little bit and begin to talk about theme of what I call innovation drives the future. Really, as a technical person, an engineer, researcher, or big data scientist, whatever you want to brand yourself, I think that the spirit of innovation will make a difference when you apply for a job, when you do a job, and you succeed in your career. Okay, so I will start with my talk. First part, I will focus on the topic of innovation. Second, I will move on to talk about a little bit about on the big data, since you are all coming here for big data bootcamp. So I will go over this. We can skip this one. I forgot to share with many of you in my personal interest. I have a very strong interest in history, sports, and also classical music. I'm also a very accomplished cellist. I do performance. I used to play with a professional orchestra too before I joined AT&T. I still perform and teach. Okay, so that is my hobby. I love history, so I always love to look at it from a historical perspective what innovation means. This, by the way, chart is a simple way of sharing with you that in the human history, there are different ways to characterize the progression and describe the period of history. And the very standard way, very interesting way, many of us know that when we talk about the history is a pre-Stone Age, and Iron time, and then there's a Bronze. Before Iron, there's a Bronze period, and then Iron, Classical Age, Medieval, Renaissance, Age of Exploration. When you look at all this, it's the technology advancement is changing the human landscape, right? And not only that, you notice is that as we get to industrial age and to information age, the speed of innovation is really progressing dramatically. We accelerate, and used to be you changing the technology several thousand years in the human history, several hundred years, 50 years, 100 years, to 10 years, a generation of new technology, to every other year, to now you can see just disruptive technologies coming to the marketplace in the time of months and weeks, and sometimes even days, right? This is amazing. And then sometimes I feel like I heard a speaker talk about internet things, right? It's amazing you see how many things are changing. I just wonder that it must be a strong spirit of learning and innovation drives the people and keep up with the pace of what's changing around us. So this is the first one. And by the way, there is some meaning about this technology because this is where I'm involved in the telecommunication services when they talk about AT&T. Oh, AT&T Uverse. By the way, I have AT&T Uverse at my new house I just built in Las Colinas. It has gig power. The speed was so clean. It is so good, right? But don't forget, we also offer wireless services, AT&T wireless services. Now, you just think about this. I just give you one example. You laugh. Just 20 years ago, the box over here is sized about like a baseball. Most of you, if not involved in the wireless business, if you see the cell tower, the unit is baseball size, it used to be taking the whole truck to load. I'm just giving you the impression of the advancement of technology, right? And then this one, you don't have to read it. I love Bell Labs because I came from Bell Labs. And we take great pride that whatever you think about today, the best things of the internet, phone, space, music, cell phone, radio, television, they all originated from Bell Labs inventions. Now, so that is telling you that today a lot of our children, ourselves, take it for granted and used to be one of the best inventions in the world. We're leading the world, right? So it shaped the innovation, really, the point I want to make are two. One is innovation shapes who we are today, the society and the world around us. Second is also innovation, the speed of innovation. Used to, in Bell Labs, it takes like 20 or 30 years to advance one technology. Today, again, the point is much, much quicker. Let me move on. So I want to give you some example of innovation. Now, every one of you may come up with your own list of top 10. I did some search on the internet. I said, well, this looks like a good list, so at least I love to share with you what I think of this. And I will tap through it. I don't have to talk to you. You can read it through GPS. Toyota introduces a hybrid model of the cars. AT&T introducing texting message. And by the way, texting message used to be one of the great revenue growth about 10, 12 years ago. Our revenue on text message is going down. The data mobile plan is going like this, okay? The things are changing so fast. Keep launching. Oh, I have this. Sorry. So you can read it through this. All it's saying is that in the last decade, the innovation of all those areas, just think about what changed. Sometimes we live in a world, we don't have time to go back to rethink what changed in the last decade and change our life. A lot of things we do today are based on a lot of things over here. Now, keep going to the next one. I want to ask a question. Then, why we want to innovate? Maybe this is a question I don't even have to ask most of you because you're here, you want to be innovative, you want to learn new things. But I still think that this is a very, very good question. First, I think innovation is seize the opportunity for companies. I give you some example of this. I'm sorry. I hit it wrong. You think about those companies. It's really innovation. You think about Google's market capitalization now becomes the most valuable brand in the world. Even though I work for AT&T, they are not our direct competitor, I still think they have done a wonderful job in the last 10 years, right? And by the way, they have a very different model to managing their staffing and managing their way of doing things. Very, very different from traditional technology companies. Stay competitive. Give you the example of the companies: Amazon.com, eBay, Hulu, all those companies. You can add a few Far East companies now. Alibaba is taking, a great splash in U.S. market because they IPO. My son, when they call me, he's a computer science student in Carnegie Mellon. He said, "Daddy, you needed to buy Baba stock." I said, "What Baba?" "Oh, yeah, then I learned that was an Alibaba stock, and the symbol is Baba." And then he said, "It's $68. I said, "You got to be kidding." On the first day it was on offer on the market, it was priced at 92. By the way, good news I share with you, because my son, I bought some of their stock. $90.97. So I'm making money right now. Because they're innovation, okay? Be the competition. So one of the American dream, I tell you, I cannot be more proud, is that you look at the dream light. Even though it has some problems, it has some even very simple problem of the battery, okay? They grounded the Japanese 787, you know the story a few years ago. But I really still think we're leading the world on designing this plane. It's a very successful program. If some of you are familiar with the airline industry, look at how Boeing is doing compared to some of the other, like Airbus in Europe. We're doing really far better. Boeing is leading the way on this new line of airliners. Then take advantage of technology. Give you some examples: Twitter, Facebook, all those companies, and solving problems, very practical problems. Any of you use this kind of a material before? You know why in Dallas you don't build decks? You build the porches. I just moved to Dallas area about a year ago. I used to live in New Jersey. We all have decks in the backyard. This is the best deck material, most expensive. It's a recycled from plastic bottles. How many of you will realize that we drink a water bottle and throw out a can, a milk can, okay? And it is milk made from that recycling material, right? And looking at solar panel. I think solar panel will make a big splash in the future energy policy. We'll see that, right? And create a new market, create and deliver values, and fuel growth. So I think that I fundamentally believe a company in today's market, actually I try to influence my children. One of my 2 children wants to study business. The other one wants to study technology. I said, you really need to move in the middle. But as you're young, you should have learned something about technology. Even you want to be a marketing vice president today, you cannot do that job without understanding good technology. And you do not have a spirit of innovation go to the market. Okay? So now think about global challenges and opportunities. And in this space, it's very interesting. I want to cite something called high cost of energy. Even though our fuel cost is coming down a little bit recently, I'm sure that many of you go to the gas pump to refill your car, enjoy the lower price today. But you have to think about this. Just not too far ago, in US, a gallon of gas only costs us $1.29. Even though we are paying, close to $3 to $2.89, that's still more than double. Still than double. And you don't know when it will go back to close to $4. Right? This is a real problem. Choking air pollution and global warming. Now, with the weather like Dallas this week, most of the people, we don't feel this. We feel the ice. And people call it, the ice from Arctic is moving to Dallas, but it is global warming at an alarming rate. And the pollution in US, because we outsource too much work to the rest of the world. So we're shifting our problem to the rest of the world. If you were to go to the emerging countries, India and China, you would try to see the choking air pollution is not something big. Do you know what the China government had to do with for the APEC summit last week? They actually stopped all the manufacturing, not in Beijing alone, all the surrounding counties in Hebei province. They stopped all the factories, saying, you go home and take a break. That's how in Beijing they call the the sky like this is called APAC blue. I'm not kidding you, okay? You should see that the jokes they post on the internet about you lost a child on the street just because the pollution is so heavy you cannot see your child right behind you. Okay, it's a little bit over exaggeration, but it can be very bad. I tell you this way, when I go to Beijing today, I cannot hardly see a building clearly over there. And on a good day like the APAC blue, you can see the mountain miles away. So the air pollution with the booming economy, it's a real problem. Then crime and cybersecurity, Internet of Things, and your social behavior. These are all huge, huge challenges for us. So if you think about this, right, demand for clean air, water, energy, and convenience will skyrocket. In US, you go home, you turn on your faucet, water is like, only when in Dallas I know that. In summertime, you only can water your lawn once a week. In New Jersey, we don't have that limit. We have a lot of water from the mountains. In Dallas, you don't have enough water. Then you feel like water is scarce resources. But in another country, drinking fresh water, good drinking water, is something not easy to come by. So this is a kind of a global challenge. By 2017, half of the world will be online. That's projected by CNN. By 2020, 7 billion business people, 30 billion devices will be connected through internet. Some of the projections. Now, world population will reach 8.3 billion by 2030. That's the UN projection. Greenhouse gas increase 25%, world trash nearly double. Now that is actually a US problem. We don't know where to dump our garbages. Unfortunately, it's all the New Jersey and New York, we dump in Staten Island. There's mountains of it. By the way, one of the worst things is that they dump the World Trade Center things over there too. It's a very, very sad sight when you see that. But anyway, yes, Staten Island is a big ground for New Jersey people. All right. Then half of the world will face water shortage. Can you believe this? We live in the world today, we don't think about this. Why I say this kind of things is because I believe innovation, and in many cases, big data will help the world to battle some of those challenges. We'll seize opportunity for those challenges and create more business opportunities for enterprise and startup businesses. I really believe that. Now, I want to continue the topic. What may be next 10 years were the things that are coming up, right? So, first of the things, driver less cars. And you know that actually Google already coming out with some of this. And with the car, with all the sensor technology, computer, digitalization of the car, this is not in the distant future. The next one is flying cars. I have been into IEEE Society. Actually, a Boeing engineer present a very, very good talk. The Boeing vice president. They talk about all the things about the flying cars. Not in the too distant future. Just think about the traffic on 75 and toll tollway not far away from here. In the morning, you have to go to downtown. So I work in downtown. So if you have to head downtown, that's not something great, right? But having a flying car, that's something nice. Let's see, underwater city. Believe it or not, you already see a lot of that. Just think about the huge underground subways and all the shopping malls underground. So the world is we go first we go high, we go underground, and someday we want to leverage. We know 70% of the land is covered by open ocean in our earth. So that is another thing that I think that robot make. We love to have the robot doing everything for us. I tell you a joke. I have a good friend, a couple, very, very intelligent people. Their first son was so smart. When he was 12 years old, he scored 1,500 on 1,600 the SAT score. He got into MIT. He finished his degree with straight A in 2.5 years. He got his first intern job offer, $30,000 for less than 2.5 months. He's in a startup company now. His second son, one day, approached his mom. He's not as brilliant technically, but it's so smart. He tells mom, he said, you know what, Mom? I eventually will marry a Korean girl to be your maid. His mom, wow, maid. Well, we wanted convenience. We want convenience. My son still refuses to learn drive. He's 19. He said, once I get a good job, I will hire a chauffeur to drive for me. But he doesn't need it to, maybe he can enjoy people to find a driverless car to drive for him. Okay? But the robot maid is not something that in the distant future I think it will be in everyone's house and doing a lot of things. I love to have the robot to do mopping the floor, especially right now I'm moving into a bigger house. I look at the house, I say, wow, this is what I have to clean up. It would be great to have that. I will buy them. Tickets to Mars. How many of you noticed that the European that just landed their rocket and landing the gear onto a comet?
It's reported that the battery died on it, so it's done. That's over.
It's over?
The battery died.
Oh, the battery died.
It's supposed to power.
But you have to think about this. It's a 500 million miles away, or kilometers away from the Earth. Took them 10 years to catch up this comet and finally landing on it. It's the first in the history, right? But our shuttle programs and the usable spacecraft to go to the space is not going to be in too distant future, even though America, we have a setback, I understand, okay? But I tell you that tickets to Mars is not something also in maybe a distant future. Food in a pill. We're all busy. This morning I see a lot of people lined up for breakfast. Just think about this. In one day, in the morning, you just needed to take one pill. That's all you needed. Your energy level, everything done. Now, you never get a chance to taste the good food. You like to, delight your own tasting. But for the time's sake, if you don't have time, instead of have 30 minutes to prepare and eat a breakfast, now it's split 2 seconds, put the pill in your mouth, leave the house. And you have all the vegetables, greens, you need, right?
Could have a chewable.
What?
Could have a chewable pill.
Yeah, and you can even choose whatever special taste that when you get into your mouth, whatever you like. You like apple, you like orange, you like, This is another interesting thing I found. Jetpack. It's better than even flying cars. For those of us adventurous, you're flying a jetpack. Now, air traffic control is going to see a nightmare. All right? Air conditioner suit. That sounds nice in Dallas where you walk on the street with 105 degrees for over 60 days. Oh my God. So I think the air conditioning suit will win my vote. Atomic power homes. How many of you realize someone already in Chicago claimed he has a design? He can bring down an atomic energy generator. Most of you probably don't feel this. When I was in New Jersey for Hurricane Sandy, I tell you, the sale of a home generator just skyrocketed in New Jersey. Everyone is rushing to Home Depot to buy a home generator, okay? And this is talking about a atomic powered homes in the size of microwave oven. He claimed he already had that technology nailed, and he's looking for venture capital. And for those of you that you want to help him to nail all the statistics or do data, things, you should look for that guy. Atomic power homes. And lastly, computer smarter than a human. I tell you, how you make a computer smarter than the human, that really goes back to big data companies. Whether you call artificial intelligence, expert systems, all those things from the past, but actually it is looking at the data and making decisions, making some sense out of it. That's what I think in the next decade will help us. Now, this is, now I'm switching here a little bit onto the topic of big data, okay? And this is an interesting thing is why I, put this picture, and you say, why David is putting this picture up on the, this is the guy actually is trying to walk over Niagara Falls. And have you ever seen that guy walk over the tall thing? One time I took my family into Niagara Falls for a visit. And in the evening, as I was driving through downtown Buffalo, and everyone stopped their car. I said, what's going on? And then I finally find out that guy walks, Niagara Falls is walking across those tall buildings in the downtown Buffalo and as a practice. And everyone stopped. Right? So walking a dangerous road. Why I put this thing is because I think there is a lot of myth about big data. A lot of myth about the big data. In the last few years, as big data gaining momentum in the industry, I want to share with you my personal view. Okay? First of all, I don't think the big data is something completely new for computer scientists, for a lot of market researchers. It's just extending some of the scope, extending some of the things we were never able to do in the past, extending some much more robust set of tools and infrastructures to help us to do it better. That's all that is. So that's the first thing. But on the other side, also, for those of you hungry wants to move into this area, there's a good news. There's a good news. The good news is this. I saw this on in August, the Wall Street Journal, that article about big data and big data scientists, data scientists. They call them what? They call them unicorn. I said, wow, that gets my interest. I just opened the paper. I said, what? Why you call them unicorn? It says, because the combination of skills required is so rare. Now, do you agree with that? Let me ask you this. Any of you dare to raise your hand and say, no, I don't think so. I think it's a very common skill, or you agree with that?
I agree with it.
You agree with that? Why? Why?
Because you need to have algorithmic skills with computer programming skills, with statistical skills, with creativity.
And your specific domain knowledge. I ended that one. That's one often missed. Because I heard it today, there are some people from maybe bank, some from retail industry, some from computer industry, and some of you serving as individual consultant, whichever industry you do. Remember all those core technical skills, math modeling, statistics, and the computer science and programming skills, using tools, all those technical skills. There is also a very strong domain knowledge applied. You cannot do it without it, okay? So when you have all those things combined, actually the bad news is that they claim the big data scientist, the data scientist requires PhD in primarily several of disciplines. Aerophysics, bioengineering research. That's interesting. That's non-traditional for computer scientists and engineers to think about. Computer science, mathematics, and statistics. PhD. Okay? Now, while the formal industry is looking for a formal PhD degree in that background, personally, I believe many of us, whether you have the PhD degree or not, it's irrelevant. It is your spirit, your ability to learn and to do the best of what you do. I have seen many people with only bachelor degree in the industry does research work just so phenomenal, okay, without a PhD degree. I do respect PhD, okay, don't get me wrong, but I just want to encourage you, those of you who have different degree, different discipline, as long as you have a hunger to learn, you can achieve that. The good news is to say that I did some study. Here is the deal. They say for average people in those disciplines getting a big data job, they demand a salary range after their PhD from school about 2 to 3 years and have a reasonable some industry experience. Their earning is projected at between $200,000 to $300,000. I don't want to make it trouble for your employer, but that's what the market demands, okay? Second is that there's another statistic. U.S. universities today only produces about average 2,500 graduates in PhDs in the following discipline I mentioned. The needs in the market, actually, the market surveys tell us they are needing about 25 to 36,000 people each year, based on which survey you look at. So, This is a great bright spot. That's I assume why you all are here. So let's talk a little bit more. This information, I don't think it's new to you, so I won't dwell on it. The only real thing I want to emphasize, the one point I want to make, is the size. Okay, when people think about big data, used to be we think about megabytes, gigabytes, and then we talk about terabytes, very big. AT&T today, every day on the network, we transport 67 petabytes of data every day across AT&T mobile network. More than 50% of our network carries what? Video traffic. We expect it to reach 70% of our network traffic will be video content in 2 years. Our data volume